Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper left hand corner we have IMYoda after threes. Yep, that's a good sign. IMYoda starting as the blue Terran. I love the entire IM clan because it makes fun names like IMYoda, IM Lociero. I just love saying Lociero and IM Nuts. Really fun clan name. oGs.Cezanne starting the bottom right hand corner, and for whatever reason, unlike Yoda, I have trouble saying Cezanne oftentimes. It just doesn't roll off my tongue for some reason, like Lociera. But he's starting as the purple zerg. This is on TalDarim Altar SK Championship. Two high-level Koreans. These guys are regulars at the GSL Code A, Code S sort of competitors. OGS, of course. I'm sure you guys have heard of OGS and IM if you follow the Korean scene. Anyway, this is on TalDarim Altar, which is a larger macro-oriented map. I believe on this, some maps you'll see the half minerals at the additional expansion. This one has the full minerals at the additional expansion. There is a destructible rock to break it. Looks like Cezanne actually going for that extractor trick to get in it. You can see the corpse and giblets left over to get that additional drone to sneak out some additional minerals. Overlord now hatching. So I assume we're going to see a fast expansion build from Cezanne on 15 supply, which is very, very standard because you have a natural expansion which is somewhat wide open. Yes, but keep in mind it's also at a wide distance position, which makes it a little bit more defensible. This third base does have an additional entrance, but keep in mind it's nearby, so it's not so secluded that it's impossible to defend. So you have close reinforcement points with 3 full bases. That leads to longer macro-oriented matches. That also opens up the opportunity for mech play, which I think is extremely beneficial for Terran, particularly siege tanks. I mean, when you see these ramps and you see high ground siege tanks, it just has to make you drool and think like, wow, that is going to produce giblet upon giblet. And that's apparently the word of this commentary. Overlord moving to the upper right hand corner. It's really unfortunate positioning though, these cross positions for Cezanne, because by the time this drone reaches the top of the space, there's probably going to be a Marine out to warmly greet it, whereas IMYoda is going to have no trouble scouting Cezanne's base. In fact, an SCV moving out to do so now. Looks like he is going to scout bottom left-hand corner first. Natural expansion up and running, about a 1/3 finished. We do have a gas before spawning pool, and spawning pool being upgraded as well. And yeah, this is unfortunate. The additional advantage of having this barracks at this location, and it looks like it is going to be 1 racks into expansion build. Still no gas in the background, so yeah, very, very mineral heavy to start. This has been a very popular build for Koreans lately. Seen it in NASL first and then various places afterwards. But essentially, you get that first expansion up and running, then you take 2 gas, get some preventative bunkers, and then tech really hard to whatever you want. And here's that drone trying to shoot the gap with that Marine and second Marine in the way. Very unfortunate. And you can see this much more fortunate SCV moving forward. Looks like that drone will be able to disappear into the darkness, however. Maybe get a second opportunity if it can sneak in and scout. That command center about halfway finished. So a nice solid economic build. Second base is up for Cezanne. He does have that spawning pool producing 4 zerglings for him, as well as that speed upgrade. But you can see that SCV already able to wander in without too much trouble. It's going to be able to get a good look at the gas and say, okay, well, we're not seeing a quick push to tech because we only see a single gas, so more of a macro-oriented build for Cezanne, probably something more standard rather than some sort of quick roach or something along those lines, quick commuta. SCV deciding to take a quick peek just in case there was a hidden gas and check a good look at the drone count before it backs off, and it has zerglings on its heels moving out now. There is a preventative bunker on the front, and 4 Marines should be able to fill it in very quickly. Orbital command being upgraded in that natural expansion. And as I was kind of expecting, we do have the double refinery, and there's the A factory. It could be additional factories here, because keep in mind, mech very strong on this map, and I think mech play is very formidable on this map on top of it. The one problem for mech play is it's slow. So if you do go a lot of Thors and a lot of tanks, you've got a lot of territory to move out on. That is a large opportunity for a more mobile, counterattack oriented zerg force. Cezanne trying to shoot the gap, might be able to, oh no, wow, nice micro. Able to sneak out with those Marines and block that additional zergling off. Going to actually place down a preventative supply depot. Did not want to reveal these 2 factories in construction. And this Overlord nowhere in position to suicide. So Cezanne in a very uncomfortable position at one of those stages where you want to have information as Zerg to know what you need to build, whether you can build drones, whether you need an attack force. And it looks like Cezanne's response is just to produce 12 zerglings just in case. And we'll see if how he plays it otherwise. He is getting an additional gas at the natural expansion, leaving his main gas just open. Also a couple creep tumors, well, a creep tumor on the front. I think we're going to see a second one momentarily. Front door completely blockaded. A tech lab on that barracks as well. And Hellions as well as a pre-igniter upgrade, and I love these Marines microing back and forth, just looking for an Overlord to hunt down and kill, to keep these factories in the dark. Very nice play. Really well played, actually. I love the attention to detail there. Preventative spine crawler on the front, but with the amount of Hellions that can be produced, and honestly as wide as this ramp is, and also the additional entrance through which they can enter. Redundant there. Looks like additional spine. Ooh, nice. More creep tumors, more creep tumors, more creep tumors to spread that creep as quickly as possible. That will be beneficial against those Hellions. I think I might have missed a bit of an attack on this front, but I think it was rejected by those Zerglings looking at the mini-map. Now additional extractors as well as a Baneling nest. So it looks like we're going to see a Muto Baneling opening. There are 4 extractors up and running, but it looks like this extractor going to remain empty momentarily, now being filled. But wow, we already... Ooh, interesting transition. So Yoda getting his Hellion Force out to take map control, putting on an additional tech lab to produce siege tanks, and also getting 3 barracks to, I presume, go very marine heavy to prevent, to really punish the Muta Baneling composition. Zerglings taking down that destructible rocks need to get back to home base. Looks like these ninja Zerglings at the Zelnaga watchtowers, seeing the Hellions incoming, they're going to back off to the safety, and actually more spine crawlers needed. Looks like Cezanne realizes they're getting 2 additional spine crawlers. Nice defense. 2 queens right on the front door. Looks like that creep tumor is bleeding, but at the very least he prevented those Hellions from pressing through. And now a nice opportunity for Yoda to press forward, take those creep tumors out. It looks like Cezanne canceling them to get those, well, actually replanting them. Let's see if a ComSat will actually take some of these out at the forward location. The Hellions still sweeping around. At the very least, what they can do is deny this 3rd base. And it looks like Cezanne's going to have to wait for the Spire before he can take that 3rd base. But in the meantime, 3 reactors on these barracks, as well as an engineering base. Siege tanks already being produced and pumping. Very scary combination attack force that really Yoda can do anything with. He can actually press forward, press this gap, maybe siege over the edge, maybe even press across his 3 o'clock position with those siege tanks and the Marines. That's not an attack force that can be ignored. Perhaps he just stages up and plays defensively and goes for more of a shell Terran style. He can bring these siege tanks up to the high ground, use the Marines to support, and be fairly well defended against any sort of aggression with Baneling, with the Baneling Ultralisk play, even with Zergling support. Looks like centrifugal hooks are upgrading level 1 weapons, also on their way, and we also have a medevac. I assume just for support purposes, and I don't think, and that's actually what this tech lab is for, to get that stim pack upgrade. Still waiting on the combat shields, which will be vital in slowing those Mutalisks down. Zerglings realizing they had an opportunity while scouting those Hellions around the map, looking for information, actually taking that opportunity to take down the destructible rocks and moving out to take this additional base, which is a bit risky at this stage, because honestly I think those Hellions could still press through, but never mind, with the Mutalisks out in the field, those Hellions going to be at least somewhat wary, just because of that air threat. And it looks like one of them is going to get picked off, and that is why they need to be wary. At the very least, that Hellion providing information that there are in fact Mutalisks coming in the field that will allow their additional Hellion brothers to retreat to the protective enclave of the Marines. And this is interesting. Ventral and, wow, Ventral Sac and Phenumanized Carapace being upgraded. So we're going to see heavy drops from Cezanne, and I assume Baneling drops, maybe even some Zergling Mutalisk Baneling combinations across the map. So he's going to take more of a drop-oriented play, which you usually see from the Terran. Wow, forcing a second turret cancel before these Marines approach. Still no stim pack because there's not a lot of medevac support, but IMYoda looking for an opportunity to perhaps stage attack forward. Keep in mind, still Hellions in this attack force, as well as those siege tanks to really neutralize those Banelings. Single medevac that'll provide some nice support and also provide some of that elevator action. Yoda with a significant supply lead. In the meantime, Cezanne, I don't see a lot of Banelings out in the field. In fact, it looks like there's only 5 to his name. A lot of Zerglings looking for a counterattack. It looks like the Mutalisks able to run up and do a little bit of damage here at the main, but there was a turret to cover. But there is a nice counterattack opportunity moving up. Unfortunately, a siege tank and Marines in a bunker able to prevent that attack, and they need to get to home base and in a hurry. ComSatting to clear this creep. And that will really actually strengthen this drop in this attack, because Cezanne, without that additional mobility, is going to have difficulty surrounding these troops, particularly at these locations. They have to go a long way around, defiantly taking another hatchery in that upper right-hand base while this attack is being executed. 3rd base looking fairly saturated, but this base very much at risk. Siege tanks staging down below that. Medevac can provide high ground spotting. Looks like spine crawlers trying to get in position. This is going to limit some gas, and Hellions being dropped on the northbound. It looks like those Marines also can provide some support to push those Mutalisks back. Those poor drones frying to death. But in the meantime, it looks like a nice blockade by Yoda. okay micro, but here we have Banelings inside Overlords looking to play a defensive role at this stage. Maybe press up, drop on top of those siege tanks. Here's the critical thing for Cezanne. He does not want to drop the Banelings on the siege tanks. The Mutalisks can take care of the siege tanks. What he's really aiming for is to draw these Marines out and then drop the Banelings on top of the Marines. Then completely neutralize whatever's left over. So he needs to be very careful on how he executes this. There are just a handful of Marines up on the low ground, looking for nice positioning, picking off the medevac, nice, killing a couple Marines. All the rest of the Marines gonna, yeah, they are gonna bite down, move forward. Overlords dropping the Banelings right on top. Nice maneuver, catching a huge amount of those Marines. Really well played by Cezanne, very patient as well. The rest of the Marines being cleaned up by the spearing Mutalisk forces overhead. And now these siege tanks are at a loss, being annihilated, and actually Hellions waiting there to be taken out as well. Another drop, going to be able to neutralize that upper right-hand hatchery. That will slow Cezanne's economy down, but still taking out that big attack force. Very, very effective. Hellions being taken down by Zerglings in open field with that creep spread. And it looks like some additional Zerglings moving in. They're going to, this is their doom. I think they do have level 1 weapons upgrade, but that is too few Zerglings against combat shield upgraded Marines with medevac support. And it looks like they are level 1 weapon upgraded as well. Mules joining in combination, they do not want to eat open fire. Cezanne needs to preserve their health as much as possible. It looks like with the Zergling support, he will be able to take out that additional medevac. Wow, that's a nice concavity of Marines right there. And now Yoda pressing back in that defensive position I was talking about early. Siege tanks, a single medevac to provide some health support, and Marines that should be in orbital command fairly quickly. Doesn't need to be a planetary fortress by any means. Several Zerglings moving up, wow, a very formidable Mutalisk force moving across the field. Level 1 weapons as well. And an Overlord nearby. Almost wonder if we're going to see some aggressive drop action here. Very high level melee level. There I can talk. Claw attack upgrade for the Zerglings, working towards level 2, and I think this is in a long-term plan to go big air eventually. Additional Overlords that are a little bit low on health moving up, as well as it looks like some Baneling drops being staged to the northern position, but a medevac has slipped through the lines in the meantime, and this could provide a huge deterrent against this sort of style of play, because those Mutalisks need to be in a defensive slot to cope. Overlord moving across that northern base, Mutalisks engaging, able to pick off a siege tank. Overlord still idling down to the south. I'm waiting for that Overlord to be breached. Now the Overlord's moving forward that the Marines have pressed in, and it looks like the Baneling's catching a lot of damage. Not getting as many Marines as they had hoped. Now it looks like one being taken out, the additional not being taken out in the meantime. Medevac moving into position. I'll try to keep an eye on it as this attack happens in the forward field. Looks like some Thors going to end the rest of that attack as it's pressing in. And that Medevac, yeah, moving along this bottom line. This is, and actually going to drop short, hoping that there's a base here. Unfortunately, there's not, in fact, a base to attack at this location. Level 2 vehicle weapons being upgraded. Still, I'm waiting for this Overlord to come into spring into action and do some counter damage. A lot of Zerglings out in open field with those Mutalisks. And perhaps we'll see an elevator on the low ground. I think this Overlord might just be able to see that drop, and I think he did get a good, yeah, he did get a good spot of it. He's going to be able to approach and take that out before it was even started. Only a single Marine getting out to see the light of day before being annihilated. Ton of Marines moving forward. Thor's medevacs, a lot of medevac support. So those Zerglings going to be somewhat ineffective, particularly with his Thor and so many siege tanks. But there is a large creep spread that is providing nice vision for Cezanne. Keep in mind, he still has this Overlord full of Banelings to the north that he can drop. Third base up, wow, actually 4 bases. Main is mined out, but 3 o'clock northern expansion up and running. Upper right-hand base also in Cezanne's possession. He still hasn't saturated it yet, though. Single Marine scouting forward. Marines trying to slow down this creep spread, and keeping that creep spread low is very important. Like I was talking about, this Marine force, basically this entire attack force, very slow and tends to be somewhat immobile in open field, so it's essential that Cezanne keeps that mobility up. And I love the Overlord Baneling drop composition. You can see how many Overlords just packed full of Banelings looking to approach and engage this. Marines sprinting forward. They want to do as much damage to this upper right hand base, empty it of drones if possible, and beautiful timing with a perfect window for these Marines to dive in and take out a ton of drones. Looks like a couple spine crawlers being upgraded. I wouldn't be surprised if the drones just come off the, oh, never mind, looks like they're just going to retreat. Oh, spine crawlers being taken out. The entire attack force pressing forward, and this is opening up an opportunity for Yoda to take some midfield advantage. A lot of Marine production here in the backfield. I'm almost wondering if we're going to see additional factories. Now, IMYoda can roll that economy. He's actually near max, though, so might not need to. Upper right-hand base, that has been cleared up, but Cezanne pressing forward an Infestor in open field, but there are Banelings with Overlords nearby. And also some Zerglings and Banelings to the north to sweep around and actually open up this central location. Looks like the Banelings melting, but they are going to get on top of the siege tank. Splash damage, doing some damage to the siege tanks, but it looks like not a lot accomplished for Cezanne. Just positioning, running around, now engaging a heavy marine force. Baneling's not there, leading into the siege tanks. It looks like wow, Cezanne having a huge difficulty at this stage, actually losing a lot of his supply in open field now, and Yoda staging everywhere. It looks like he's going to be able to dive back in, maybe even take this base out once again, and taking map control, 3 bases unopposed, building 2 command centers to continue pressing out. Nice fungal growth to annihilate those Marines in open field, and really those infestors are going to be key at this stage with such heavy Marine production. Some Banelings taking out some additional Marines. Just with the numbers that they have, it looks like they are going to be able to take out this hatchery before Cezanne is able to respond. Also, Mutalisks being engaged in open field, and Yoda doing a ton of damage, just striking blood left and right in this mid-game. But Mutalisks running up to engage. They might be able to take these turrets down before they are even up, and running 1 turret up, no, 2 turrets up. Let's see if they're just going to annihilate those turrets, take them down before this can really be forward siege protected. Command center is going to have to left off or be defended. This is going to force Yoda back, but Yoda is too busy attacking the front door, attacking everything, and stop that gas at the 3 o'clock base. Looks like also has cliffside expansion destruction raining down once again, and a huge elevator of a ton of Marines up on the high ground. And at this stage, Cezanne needs to flee. Probably going to lose those Mutalisks in open field, and things not looking good for Cezanne. Perhaps overextended, which is unusual for Zerg. You usually see the Terran overextended at this stage. Losing the Baneling nest, which is critical. Need those Banelings within combination of those infestors to do that damage to recover and take out those heavy Marine forces. But wow, a huge amount of Overlords moving towards the main. Cezanne looking for blood now that this front door has been breached. It looks like these Marines have been taken out by a whole bunch of fungal growth, but that natural expansion is out of this match. A couple Marines and siege tanks moving up. There is an expansion that is going to be placed relatively quickly. Cezanne intelligently moving around. That is some ninja game sense. But another drop here at the 6 o'clock. Oh, Cezanne does not have anything to engage it as well. Economy being really halted at this stage. Command centers being built, and this is actually strategic command centers to turn into planetary fortresses to take mid-map control, but Cezanne looking for an opportunity to provide some counterattack, moving up with a lot of Zerglings to stop this base. Siege tanks completely exposed. Looks like they're going to be taken out. They should be able to take out very valuable mules as well, but there are some Marines on the fence to the north. A bunch of Overlords moving forward, realizing that the troops should be out of position on that defensive slot, and actually it looks like some are going to drop on the low ground. Planetary Fortress upgraded, lifting off though and canceling. Cezanne still in a bit of economic trouble though. 6 o'clock base has been taken out. Looks like he is keeping the Harvester count low otherwise, and still able to get a couple Marines. But huge drop incoming. Oh my goodness. And actually going for the infrastructure as well. A bunch of Zerglings and Banelings unloading. They don't have a lot of SCVs to kill, but this is big, fat, juicy infrastructure, and a lot of it. Looks like Banelings waiting for Marines to come up and support. Vikings just pummeling those Overlords, and there is no anti-air, so all these Overlords are lost. But IMYoda losing a lot of supply depots. Cezanne going to lose some supply, both eating into each other's supply. Yoda pressing forward with the attack force he has, but Broodlords waiting to engage these Thors, very quickly taking them out. They are very highly upgraded as well. Marines trying to engage forward. I think there's some Zerglings to support, and it looks like Siege Tank with those Broodlings actually doing more damage. Fungal growth as well. Oh, nice damage there. And it looks like that front door attack is going to be cleaned up, and in a recreation situation, Cezanne should have the advantage just because Zerg. But keep in mind those Marines still at that forward position, also denying this base here. But keep in mind as well, Yoda hurting for resources. Main completely destroyed. Natural expansion out of resources. This is the only mining base. Needs to establish this 9 o'clock location. Has some command centers out in the middle just in case needs to lift them and do something with them. I think Yoda was hoping these would become planetary fortresses just to take a forward location, but needs to regroup. Is doing so, backing out, getting some Marines. Both players licking their wounds. Neither really in a position where they feel like they can take the match. Cezanne also in a bit of an economic quandary. You've got the 3 o'clock base that is mining. You also have the upper 3, which is mining. I should call it 2 and 4, respectively. This upper right-hand base is not saturated, and there's Marines in still within striking position at two additional locations. So the key here is this 9 o'clock base, how quickly it will get up and running, and how quickly Cezanne is able to clear it. Also, how quickly he's going to take care of these Marines, and when is he going to saturate this upper right-hand corner? It looks like those drones just huddling up there in the meantime. 2 Zerglings also just kind of staging, keeping an eye out on things. Some scouting Zerglings looking for open field where they can fight it. Orbital Command instead of Planetary Fortress. Very risky from Yoda, also catching a lot of the mules, and I think that will spring Cezanne into action. Looks like Cezanne now retaking that natural expansion to get some sort of resources. Now into Infestor Zergling as far as the combination, with some Broodlords overhead. Wow, very interesting combination. Looking to upgrade level 3 weapons and starting to work on the Carapace upgrades as well, level 2. Also an Ultralisk Cavern, and I'm not sure that the Ultralisks are going to be viable at this stage just because of the resource intake, the potential resource intake. Upper right-hand base looks like it has a drop impending. I don't see any defense troops anywhere nearby, and this is almost map hacks-ish. Looks like those Marines have been taken care of. But wow, Spine Crawler trying to be dropped, but Medevac should be able to drop and take out this base, take out that as well. Will they buy time for these Zerglings and these Broodlords to get up there? Looks like it's being abandoned. Banelings trying to morph in the meantime to take care of this attack force. Stimpack working on the hatchery now before those Banelings hatch. Banelings moving forward, surrounding. But nice micro. Yoda actually lifting off and just, wow, picking off those troops. But reinforcements are here to save the day. Looks like they are going to be able to surround and take out the Marines, but not before the hatchery is taken out. Oh my goodness. Yoda, fantastic job striking blood there. Beautiful. Beautiful job. Drones actually retreating, and Cezanne needs to start saturating this upper right-hand base. Looks like that 6 o'clock has either been abandoned or cleared as well. I might have missed that on the mini-map. But Yoda actually recovering. He's way behind in supply, but he has this 9 o'clock base up and running. Needs to get some additional resources because this is going to get scary very, very quickly. It's now a macro game, and who can do more economic damage, and we see sharks in the ground. Ooh, Infestors moving forward with Burrow. There are turrets, and this is not a planetary fortress. Siege tank nearby, so this could be very, very dangerous. Looks like a large siege tank marine composition moving up Cezanne with some drones as well, trying to get that base back up and running, but again, nothing in position to really deal with it. The Broodlord's still just hanging out the natural expansion. I'm not sure whether they're not being fielded more often in these engagements, perhaps just to build up a considerable attack with those Mutalisks going to get crushed. And it looks like drones also going to micro directly into those siege tanks. This entire upper right-hand base completely being neutralized. But oh my goodness, infested Marines everywhere on the high ground. Enough infested Marines to and it looks like comms heading, but not seeing those infestors anywhere because they were in fact dropped from the northern location. Infested Marines going to take out a lot of SCVs, completely desaturate that. So, but wow, upper right-hand expansion taken out as well. And this is what I was talking about with, okay, Ultralisk upgrades coming. You have the Chitinous? I'll call it that, Chitinous plating, as well as ground Carapace 3, but how are you going to build Ultralisks with your economy? Is really what it comes down to for Cezanne. He still has drops. Broodlord's now moving up to engage this Marine siege tank force. But again, the economy actually poor for both players. And so what Cezanne really needs to think is about those durable troops rather than the Ultralisks, I believe. But oh, and my goodness, Vikings moving forward, no anti-air. Infestor is going to try to some fungal growth to stop those Vikings, and that is going to be key. It looks like he's still going to try to micro back and forth with those Infestors and those Broodlords, and unfortunately losing some Broodlords as a result. More fungal growth going to soften those Vikings up. I don't think it's going to be enough damage. There's a third fungal growth to take them out. Actually blowing all up but 2, and it's not enough, and he can't keep exposing these Broodlords. It's the one factor he has rolling for him at this stage. Third base still up and running, but Siege Tank still shelling from that northern corner. But keep in mind the 9 o'clock base is not mine for Yoda either, so he's hurting for resources as well. Trying to, well, I guess he's just going to try to play a flat starvation game and see who starves out first. Natural expansion is up in the 6 o'clock base, so I'm going to put Cezanne up in that regard. Bottom left-hand base also being established. A single Marine doing some damage. Oh, this poor 3 o'clock. Broodlord still trying to go up and do some damage. He is going to be annihilated, but fungal growth to support. Not before the Broodlord is taken care of, though. Still an Overlord sitting idly by with a bunch of troops in it. Big counterattack, Zerglings dashing across midfield. Now these have been upgraded to Planetary Fortress, but without SCVs to provide some additional repair, they could be taken out, but it looks like Cezanne, again, in a strong macro... Oh, having some trouble microing the Zerglings. In a strong macro game where every unit counts at this stage, does not want to waste Zerglings, precious Zerglings, which is rare to say at this stage on those Planetary Fortresses in open field. Infestors burrowing once again. They might be able to fungal growth these troops in open field, catch some damage. Looks like the trying to take out this bottom left-hand base. Thor going to be surrounded, taken out very rapidly, but these Marines are going to be too strong for these Zerglings to engage. More infested Marines on the low ground, forcing Yoda to lift up. So Yoda desperate for resources at this stage. This the bottom left-hand base is not going to get it done for Cezanne, and it looks like Cezanne just allowing aggression to do the talking for him. This is really the critical expansion, this full running base, and I am also worried about the gas count. Looks like just 300 gas from both players, which is a very desperate situation. Yeah, this hatchery easily going to get taken out. A nice distraction hatchery, though, for Cezanne. It is worth the minerals that were lost, although keep in mind, a very low game. Heavy infestors, they are very durable and effective units, particularly against this composition. A lot of Marines staging forward. This is a critical expansion. Cezanne has to engage, has to save this. Siege tanks moving up, and I don't see Cezanne moving in position to provide any sort of defense. Just sacrificing, and I'm not sure for what reason, burrowing all of the drones in the meantime to save them, and I almost wonder if we're going to see a comsat to take care of those drones. And Infestor popping out just to die almost instantaneously, and yeah, that hatchery is a complete loss. Some distance mining happening with these drones as this hatchery is being produced, and it is a complete starvation match at this stage. More Infestors moving forward, going to catch a lot of mules at the 9 o'clock location. Some Marines and some Thors to engage it, though. And Yoda still having difficulty coping with this attack. Sneaking back in, just getting a look at it, is going to eliminate the larva just in case. And now Cezanne. Both Cezanne and Yoda just hurting. 9 Ultralisks out of nowhere, though. Where Cezanne got the resources to produce 9 Ultralisks is beyond me. Troops elevatoring forward to attack the main. The question is will the Ultralisks be there to provide some defense? And the other problem I have with the Ultralisks on this map is, again, the position problem versus mobility. But it might pay off. If they can dive and take out this 9 o'clock base, Cezanne could take the lead just economically. Some Infestors charging forward, the Ultralisk pushing them off, and I think Yoda's saying the same thing I am. It's like, what the heck? Where did these Ultralisks come from? How did Cezanne muster the resources to get these troops out? A single medevac moving out to the... Just checking that upper right-hand base, because on thought he's like, yeah, that base has to be up. That has to be... Oh, wow. Infestors at close locations. This could get really scary really, really fast. I'm waiting for some sort of fungal growth execution. This fungal growth infested Marine action to do all sorts of devastation here. Yoda does have this 9 o'clock base up and running, but the question is for how long, and will Cezanne be able to reestablish this 6 o'clock base in the meantime? There's the infested Marines dropping and forcing the siege tanks to splash their own units. The Ultras charging in as well. So many infested Marines absolutely everywhere. There are Marines up on the high ground. Maybe they can get some additional damage done. I'm actually waiting for some counter fungal growth, perhaps. Those Ultras eating some damage against this high ground. These Marines are completely upgraded. Medevac taken out from those infested Marines as well, and the Ultras just chewing on some damage here. They need to back out. Vikings staging up, making sure that they deny that upper right-hand base, but this is completely exposed. Evolution Chamber, which could get, well, I guess missile attacks are not going to make a difference. Spawning Pool, vulnerable. An Ultras just waiting nearby. Now engaging, but not before that spawning pool is taken out. That will need to be rebuilt. Actually, nice timing for Cezanne. He's like, go ahead, take out the spawning pool. Then I will send my Ultras in. They will tank the damage, and I will deal with it otherwise. These Infestors have been amazing. 8 kills, 7 kills, 10 kills, 12 kills between the midst of them. Have constantly kept this expansion in desperate situation. What is amazing to me is still no Raven. And I would have expected with so much underground harass that you would have seen some sort of Raven. Fungal growth plus infested Marines again taking out those mules, again crushing Yoda's economy. And keep in mind there's still those Ultralisks running on the field, all 8 of them down from 9. Well, let's see if those Ultralisks will be able to get it done. Yoda just completely isolating his upper left-hand corner of the map. He does have, and I think there's a Zergling camped underneath. Needs to expend a comsat. Okay, there's the comsat to take care of the Zergling. Landing. He does have an additional base. Say then buying some breathing room is actually going to distance mine to the 6 o'clock now. With Yoda in such a defensive position, he's actually going to take that what is that? The 7 o'clock base as well. Maybe thinking about expanding that upper right simultaneously, and I think he could actually hold it at this stage, particularly with these big beefy Ultralisks moving around. A lot of Marines and now some Marauders to cope with those Ultras starting to stem forward. A lot of Infestors nearby, so this is a dangerous, dangerous attack. Oh, it looks like they are going to be caught, though, with that comsat. Fungal growth going to pin them in place. Still 2 Infestors taken out, and it looks like the Ultralisk moving in, going to fungal growth what's left. Oh, nice. Crushing what is left. Really nice engagement for Cezanne, and now he's going to be able to move right up and force Yoda to lift off. He cannot take that base. I love the swinging sound of the Ultralisks. It's a very crisp sound, much like samurai swords, except, I guess, massive, the size of buildings. That's something strategy Japan. I guess I should say Korea at this stage. Infestors moving once again, and Marines finally staged. I wonder how long they're going to last against 2 fungal growths, though. At least they are expending some energy from these Infestors, and Yoda, though, not able to respond. And gonna still lose some SCVs and additional Marines. 9 o'clock base almost completely out. Vikings moving forward to try to do what damage they can. Cezanne doesn't need to worry about this 3 o'clock base though, completely mined out. It's really the 6 o'clock that needs to worry about, but keep in mind no anti-air aside from fungal growth. For Cezanne and those infestors, it's somewhat out of position. Yoda, though, completely out of resources as well, and he's actually down to 7 harvesters. 7 versus 52, but I suppose he has enough orbital commands that he doesn't really need to worry about it at this stage. Still some concern whenever you're that low in harvesters, but 7 versus 53, that's really indicative of how effective those infestors have been. Zerglings and Ultralisks moving up to open field. Yoda still trying to isolate to take this 12 o'clock location. If he can get that economy up and rolling again, maybe he can stand a chance in this map and in this game. But unfortunately, Cezanne, 6 o'clock base, 7 o'clock base, completely saturated, is getting those precious minerals, and really the last factor in all, some infestors able to move up as well. They are going to be able to get out of that siege tank range. Looks like they're going to do so and catch more mules, and more. All these mules dying is just a ton of resources, a huge amount of resources, and Cezanne's so patient, waiting for additional mules to spawn. Oh my goodness, how is he not? Wow, not fungal growthing that. So patient. Instead, backing off. A couple Zerglings and some Mutalisks, additional things being killed in the open field, just scouting it, saying, okay, that 6 o'clock is up and running. I'm going to let you have that. Pushing back, and actually perhaps wanting to get them back in position to deal against these Vikings. Keep in mind the Vikings have to land if they're going to accomplish anything, but they are still decent harassment units, and this is what I was talking about with the Ultralisks having trouble ascending and descending, and where fungal growth is really going to be a big factor in open field. There are the infested Marines. I missed it while all that action is happening in the bottom left. Infested Marines dumping all over this. Are they going to take out that Orbital Command Center? Orbital Command Center down to 106 health. There is a mule to repair nearby, but it is on fire. It is burning in a very difficult situation. The infestors continuing to rain terror on the 9 o'clock. Cezanne taking control of this map. They're dropping the mule, having to repair, and this is precious resources. Only 50 resources left for Yoda. And he actually needs to mine just so he can repair at this stage. More infested Marines dropping to take out this orbital command center. I think that is going to be all she wrote there. Additional base for Cezanne here as well, and he's strong, taking a strong economic lead. But Yoda moving in for a sizable attack, lifting up everything he has and pummeling into Cezanne. Will Cezanne be able to stop this attack? It looks like Vikings going into their ground mode and going to be able to take out that hatchery. 6 o'clock base only has 3 spine crawlers to provide some sort of defense. Counterattack for Cezanne. He's not going to engage that troop in open field. He's going to let that orbital command burn out at the 12 o'clock location. So it might come down to an elimination situation. Yoda completely wiping out the 6 o'clock. Cezanne again hurting for resources, still has this hatchery in the bottom left, but has completely taken out IMYoda's economy at the 12 o'clock base. So IMYoda is going to have to get it done with what he just has in open field. This base needs to be canceled. Cezanne not going to cancel it though. Okay, there cancels it. A lot of Ultralisks, infestors, and, well, Ultralisks kind of touting around. They're having trouble getting in the open field. This is really the engagement for Yoda. If Cezanne can wipe this attack force out, he will win. However, if Cezanne if Yoda can keep this army distracting while these Vikings go to work, might be able to come back, might be able to catch back up in this match. Infestors moving positions. This is the big moment. Vikings landing, starting to work at those spine crawlers. Marines moving in with the Marauder as well. Cezanne just watching it happen with these Ultralisks at the low ground. There's the infestors waiting for fungal growth. There's some fungal on top of everything there. That will kill the Marines, but the infestors being taken out as well. An additional fungal growth going to be able to wipe out the Vikings, but not before this attack force is able to clean up this hatchery. So again, desperate economic situation. Still a large bank left for Cezanne, but not out of the woods yet. A lot of siege tanks, level 3 weapons. Marines completely upgraded as well. Drones actually attacking this Marauder desperately, as well as this Marine. Looks like they will be able to clean this up, maybe plant it once again. Yoda moving forward, gonna try to micro the way into these siege tanks, into these Ultralisks that are having trouble moving around, as well as these Banelings. Significant supply lead for Cezanne, but you can't underestimate the power of siege tanks. Everything coming off the line from Yoda. He only has 18 resources left. I don't think he even has an SCV to his name. He has 1 SCV. So he knows he's economically out of this match. This is going to be it. This is the big engagement that will decide the match. Cezanne backing off. Marauders moving forward to get in position. Looks like an comms at the low ground. A queen being taken out as well. Head flying up in the air there. Infestors moving around burrowed, and they could be the key to this attack for Cezanne. They can get infested Marines on top of that siege tank count. Oh, Cezanne's such a patient player. Unbelievable. It's coming down to the last moments. Essentially, the huge engagement here. Elevator troops up, going to be able to take out that hatchery. Looks like we have an orbital command floating down for Yoda as well. Wants to try to take this space. So the question is will he be able to hold and stage here? Will he actually survive? Cezanne just waiting and waiting for these infestors. Perhaps wants to get those last few Ultralisks out in the field before completely engaging here. Looks like the Marine's going to be able to get Funkel's growth. Not being taken care of though. Infested Terran just hanging out. Oh, dangerous situation. Marauder and a Marine. Zergling's going to be able to take care of it. The Baneling's being a little bit lazy here and not engaging. Again, very patient. I'm trying to keep an eye over here because as soon as we see the infested Marines dumped and siege tanks splash everywhere, we will see the large engagement from Cezanne. And that is going to be really the ultimate engagement. The question is how much is left over from Yoda? Will he have enough to just press through and crush what's left of Cezanne? Or will Cezanne still have basically a ton of Ultralisks, Banelings, and Zerglings to finish the match out? Again, just waiting for it. There's the infested Marines pressing forward, splash damage everywhere. Siege tanks distracted, not engaging these Ultralisks that are just careening forward like bullet trains, crushing everything. More infested Marines on the low ground. Marines just lagging back to try to help the defense, but it is all over. Ultralisks crushing everything. Medevacs in the air. It looks like some Marines dropping up in the high ground, but it's not going to be enough. Orbital command extremely vulnerable now. Ultralisks just careening that direction. And there's GG from Yoda. He knows he can't hold this off. Well played by both players. Just a marathon match as well. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for listening. Great match. Well played by Cezanne and Yoda.